Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat sa mga nag-like, nag-share, nag-subscribe at nag-comment sa aming video.
Please watch until the end as we are going to answer some of your questions. Welcome to our channel.
Ngayong araw, pag-uusapan po natin ang detalyadong information about sa new Caregiver Pilot Program. On our last video, we talked about the 3 requirements to be able to apply dito sa Canada as a caregiver. And we would like to add one more of the requirements.
Which is very easy and we're going to discuss it later. So, review lang natin yung requirements. No? So, una is yung education.
Yes, education, you need to have 1 year post-secondary of education comparable to Canadian education. So if you're coming from the Philippines, you have to have at least second year college of education.
So dun sa mga nagtatanong about if paano yung mga high school graduate, sad to say, ito pong requirements na ito is non-negotiable. So you really need to have at least 2 years of college education. So pangalawa pong requirements is yung language assessment.
As a language assessment naman, you need to pass the 4 categories, which is the listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Mm-hmm. You need to have 5 score of all those categories. Mm-hmm. And you have to take that language assessment through self-pip and IELTS. Mm-hmm. And ang kukunin nyo lang pong exam is yung general exam ng self-pip and IELTS. Mm-hmm.
So ito pong self-pip and IELTS, this is not school or institution na pwede kayong mag-aral. Ito po ay organization na responsible for assessing your language capability. So hindi ko naman masasabing easy yung exam, pero it's very attainable dahil kumpara sa academic exam ng IELTS, yung general is very attainable. Yes. So pangatlo pong requirements is yung experience.
Sa experience po, you need to have 1 year work experience as a caregiver or related to caregiver na trabaho. If you are applying outside of Canada. And if you are inside of Canada, pag may 2 years experience na po kayo as a caregiver, within the last 3 years, pwede na kayo mag-apply as a permanent resident directly.
Yep. So, para sa marahil nalilito kayo, ano ba yung 1 year at saka yung 2 years experience. Ganito po kasi yan, yung program ay idinisenyo ng Canadian Immigration para ma-fulfill yung permanent resident application na backlog ng mga nakaraang program. So, marami na po kasi ang mga nag-apply na 2 years, 3 years na wala pang result yung kanilang permanent resident application. Ito po kasing program, within 6 months, you can have the result of your permanent resident application. So, kung nasa loob na po kayo ng Canada, unahin natin yung inside Canada. If you are inside Canada and you already have 2 years of work experience as a caregiver, pwede na kayong mag-apply directly under this program.
Yeah, as a permanent resident.
And within 6 months, your application will be processed. If you are outside Canada, doon po papasok yung 1 year work of experience.
Yes.
If you are outside of Canada.
Okay.
So, pang-apat pong requirement is you need to be admissible in Canada.
Meaning, i-check nila yung inyong criminal background and then magagawa din sila ng medical exam sa inyo and you need to pass both of those. Sa criminal background, you need to pass NBI na requirement. So, yeah.
So, madali lang po yung pang-apat na requirements.
So, paano kung kulang ang work experience ko? Qualified pa rin ba ako mag-apply?
Yes, you can still definitely apply for this program. So, even if you don't have the work experience at the time of your application, you can still apply provided that you meet the 3 qualification. So, yung education, yung language, and you are admissible to Canada.
Yes.
So, ano yung kailangan para makapag-apply ka? You need a job offer. So, dito papasok yung advice namin from our last video that you need to find a Canadian employer sa job bank or Indeed.ca. Dahil kung may job offer ka na, ang mangyayari, yung PR application mo will be put on hold and the immigration officer is going to issue you a job-specific work permit, meaning that you can only work for either a childcare or home support worker. Only these two work. You cannot work for any work that you like, let's say working for a restaurant or in a hospital. No, you cannot. You can only work for home care,
or the
home support worker, or childcare. And yung asawa mo is magkakaroon ng open work permit and yung anak mo is student permit. So, kasama mo sila pagpunta dito. That is one of the advantage of this program. Unlike yung mga previous program, yung worker lang ang makakapunta dito sa Canada. Itong program na to, kasama mo yung buong pamilya mo pagpunta mo dito. And after mong matapos yung 2 years mong work experience, you will just update the Canadian immigration para continue yung proseso ng pagiging permanent resident mo. So ano ba yung laman dapat ng job offer para masabi na na valid,
na genuine, valid, legit.
So una, dapat yung job offer is a single employer. So meaning that you cannot work for other person, only for your employer. So if you are, ang papel mo is childcare, hindi ka pwedeng mag-alaga ng anak ng kapitbahay o anak ng kapatid ng employer mo. So only your employer. It needs to be a single employer. So pangalawa is yung
full-time na trabaho, dapat 32 hours a week lang. So
for it to be considered full-time, it needs to be 32 hours. And yun nga, dapat genuine. Paano natin masasabing genuine yung job offer? Meron niyang category. Una is yung wage. Dapat at least minimum wage yung sahod mo dito sa Canada. Which is, sa Ontario, is $14 per hour yung minimum wage dito. So if the job offer is less than 14, that's not a legitimate job offer.
So, titingnan din yung location na pagtatrabahuhan mo and then yung financial ability ng employer mo kung mababayaran ka ba ng tama. Masasahuran ka ba ng tama.
So, yung with regard to the location ng trabaho is either live-in or live-out. Pero ngayon, either live-in or live-out pwede na. Yes. So, dapat kasi naka-specify doon either live-in or live-out. Pero hindi dapat pino-force yung caregiver na mag-live-in ka
sa employer.
So, you have the option for a live-out. Kung agree ka doon sa contract, then yeah. So, doon sa financial ability, kailangan nilang magpasa ng statement.
Notice of assessment. Ang tinatawag dito, notice of assessment, to prove that they are financially capable of giving salary to the caregiver.
So ano ba yung anong ibig sabihin nun? So halimbawa, alam ko may mga nagtatanong na may kapatid sa Pilipinas, gustong kunin yung kapatid as caregiver dito sa Canada. Ngayon, kung yung family income ninyo ay hindi sasapat na masahuran yung caregiver, may chance na hindi ma-approve yung application ng applicant.
Yeah, and next is the job will still be available when you arrive here in Canada, once you start working here.
So meaning that halimbawa you are applying for home support worker, caring for elderly, and yung elderly may sakit. So titingnan kung pagdating dito is buhay pa yung aalagaan mo, kasi or kung halimbawa kung childcare naman yung aalagaan mo mga school age, kung pagdating dito is kailangan pa ba nila ng ng nanny or ng caregiver, ng childcare. And
lastly
is ano ba yung gaano katagal yung proseso. So nabanggit namin kanina na if you are already inside Canada and you are applying directly for permanent resident, it will only take you 6 months for the whole process para maging permanent resident ka, provided that you meet all the 4 qualification. Ngayon, if you are outside Canada, it will take you at least 12 months. Kung meron ka ng IELTS, meron ka ng yung Canadian education mo from West,
assessment
ay na-assess na,
may LMIA ka na,
may job offer ka na,
and
meron ka na ring medical and what's the other one?
NBI, kompleto na lahat.
Kompleto na lahat ng requirements.
Including yung forms, pinaka-importante yung forms na isasubmit nyo sa Canadian Embassy for processing. So,
yung pagdating sa West assessment or yung educational assessment, we are planning to make one more video regarding that para ma-discuss din paano ba magpa-assess ng education background. So ngayon, dadako na tayo dun sa as I mentioned earlier, we are going to answer some of your question doon sa pinost naming video para malinawan din yung mga kababayan natin. So yung unang question
galing kay Alia YCC.
So ask ko lang if mag-apply ba Canada may age limit. I'm here in Hong Kong as live-in caregiver. Thank you. So to answer your question, wala pong age limit ang program na ito. Pero nakadepende po yan sa, sabi ko nga kanina, yung job offer is kailangan valid kasi i-determine pa rin ng Canadian Immigration Officer. Ang ibig ko pong sabihin dito is walang age limit, pero halimbawa ang nakalagay sa contract ninyo is caring for the elderly and you are 65 years old, you are applying for this program, it requires bending, it requires lifting. So, i-determine po ng Canadian Immigration Officer kung kaya pa ba ninyo yung trabaho. So, kahit wala siyang age limit, but still,
the applicant will be able to perform the job that is being offered.
Yeah, exactly. So, yung pong kasunod na question is, what if walang caregiver experience? I'm an au pair here in Denmark. I hope you can guide me. So yung pong au pair sa Denmark is considered as caring for childcare or childcare. So related siya sa pagiging caregiving.
Under the childcare. Childcare.
So so qualified ka definitely. And yung pong kasunod na question kay Mary Grace, may experience na po ako being caregiver at gusto kong mag-training sa TESDA to have certification. Saan po ba pwedeng pag-aralan sa school yung sinasabi niyong West, ICAS at ICES? May school ba yan? Kung sakaling mayroon, saan matatagpuan at magkano ang bayad? Ito po yung sinabi ko kanina that hindi po ito school or institution, ito po ay organization na kung saan magpapa-assess kayo ng education ninyo. So, ang mangyayari is lalagin po kayo dito sa website. It's all done online and you need to register and we are going to discuss this in details on our next video.
Para mas malinaw at mas ma-explain namin ng maayos kasi madami siyang instruction and steps as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, hopefully ay nakatulong po itong video na ito. And again, if you have another question, please let us know. We are doing our best to answer all the questions na tinatanong ninyo. May mga nagme-message sa Facebook at saka sa YouTube. And we are doing our best to reply sa lahat. Marami pong salamat and
God bless po. All the best.